and welcome to the workshop. This is student-centered online course design with C.A.L at UDC. I am Annette Miles. I am an assistant professor and program coordinator of human development. And I wanted to share some of the strategies that have been very helpful to me as I build courses online. It can be time consuming, sometimes it's overwhelming, but the purpose of the workshop is to, the aim is to assist instructors new to online, I'll read it from my sheet, new to online as a starting point when designing an online course and provide strategies that may be helpful to other instructors. I developed a checklist for instructors to use that contains instructor and course information. And I will be going over that in a few minutes. To include in the course shell to create a student-centered course that is easy to navigate, and there are extra slots to include information unique to your discipline. Having a checklist when designing a class reduces the time spent creating and collecting instructional materials. And I also included a sample course template, which is one of my courses, a sample grade sheet, the discussion board grade sheet, the case study grade sheet, and a video grade sheet, as well as a course map. One thing that I found is when you make the course easy for students to navigate and make it attractive for them, they're more willing to use it, because in the past, students would say, oh, what are we supposed to do? But everything is in the course shell. So one thing that Dr. Alex Taraboletti shared with me when I took the master class with her. She said that it would be good to put the name of the chapter that you're going to be reading, like for week one, whatever week it falls under. And that has been very helpful because students let me know that it was good. They knew where they had to go and they knew what they had to do. And the folders are very student friendly. So let's look at the next one. Let me go back one more time. All right. So one thing I wanted to ask, the question I have is, what is your vision for your class? What do you think about when you are designing a class? What is important to you? And that's, something that I think about too. For human development, we have students who range in age from 19 to 70. And it's not to say that the students who are more senior are less savvy, because some of the younger students can be less, or they may be technology shy. And so I always think about the students who will be using the online course and how, and their level of experience with it. So if you like to introduce yourself and share what is important to you.
Yeah, I'm Fatma, and for me, when I look at if I develop online class, for me is the learner knows what needs to be done and why.
Okay.
The why and how.
Okay.
To be explained in an assignment, learning objectives, and it to help retain the student retention in classroom, and also get them to be focused on the learning process rather than scavenger hunt. Where is my content? Yep.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Okay. Kim, Dr. Cruz.
So I'm Kim Cruz, and I think for an online course, you want everything to be easy to navigate. Again, you want students to eventually, after they're oriented, to be able to focus in on the learning and the materials they need to absorb rather than, again, just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So a good start page and then a seamless, after about week 2, you want it to be seamless where everybody knows where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do.
Okay, okay.
Excellent. Yeah, my name is David Cerna from the C.A.L team. For online courses, definitely structure. It should be easy to navigate, not confusing, and also using Blackboard as that central hub. So whatever documents you're sharing, it's all on Blackboard.
Right.
And I see Ty in the chat box. She says, I want it to be as seamless as a face-to-face experience.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
I can add also something, my presence as a faculty or as a trainer, my presence in the course, because in online, they don't see you. So what are the strategy as a faculty or as a trainer to make sure that they feel me within the class? What kind of communication?
Exactly.
And that needs a planning before when I build the course.
Okay. And for me, I do check-ins as well. I do check-ins with students, but when I started building online classes in 2018, I would have all my agendas, and then I would have, my overviews, and I would have all of these folders. And, for me, I thought that I was organizing it, but the student was like, oh, that's too much, just make it more simple. And that's each time I build a class, I try to make it more simplistic so that the student can use it. So what I did, I have materials, I have a checklist and the different sheets, but I want to show you, this is a checklist that I developed because it made it easier for me to know where things belong. So I just, as I envisioned how I want my class to be, how I want it to look, even looking at colors, even looking at things for me. I look at the welcome letter. Now, in one class, I did a welcome letter. In the other class, I did a welcome video. And just looking at, I take a picture of the textbook. I put my office hours, any announcements, supplemental materials, and a photo. I add a photo as well, but that is faculty information. And I left some extra slots because you may have some other things that you want to include in that. Are there any questions about the faculty information? Okay. And this is for the course. Now it's a little bit more. I added like the CRN, whether the syllabus, due dates. So these are just all of the things that I want to make sure that it's included in the shell. And so like what I decide to do say for instance, if we're talking about, like I always do the history of something first. So I may go and get seminal case studies or seminal case law that deals with the history of, say, students with disabilities, because that's the course that I'm using for this. And I use those, I collect everything, I put it in a folder. I look at the course objectives, any module objectives, quizzes, exams. I just go through all of these things to see what I will need. Now, I might not need all of them. I may have to add some things, but I just found that as I go through, I just make myself a little check. And as I put the shell together, then it will help me know whether or not I have everything in the shell. Another thing that I have done with the with my course shell, my very savvy, tech savvy students, I will have them review the shell for me and say, how does it read? Is it easy for you to navigate? Were you able to open all the videos? Because sometimes I know in the past I have put in videos or even a podcast. And when the students went in to open it, it didn't open or it was no longer available. So I checked those and I continue to check those as well. So are there anything on this list? Do you see anything that's not included that you would include in your class? Anything from the list? Or it's not included on the list?
One of the things that I found it always helpful when designing a course,
Mhm.
when I do when I do the introduction to the class, either I include how the navigation of the course, the
Okay.
logic of it, or another video where how to navigate, where to
Okay.
find stuff. And I thought would be so usually I thought this is usually helpful
Oh,
to make it
okay.
short and students know where to find the content
Mhm.
and where to find help.
Right,
Because sometimes they get overwhelmed with what needs to be read at the
right.
beginning.
Now I have, you'll see in the course shell, it has a start here, but in the discussion page, I also have like a little cafe where they can ask questions or, and then I also include the university resources too, so that they'll know where to go to. And sometimes they do not open up those folders. So what I will do on the first day, I will go through the shell with them, let them see where things are, how they can navigate it, looking at due dates and helping them with the tools as well. So those are some of the things that I assist students with on the first day, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. When they see it, they go, ugh. So we just go, and that's why the week by week is much better.
Yep.
Rather than having module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, and then all of the things in between. So again, that's how I go by weeks, okay? Now, one other thing that I wanted you to do is to do a little practice of week 1 and 2. And David is going to share that information with you about the materials.
You got it. Thank you, Dr. Miles.
Mhm.
So everyone on this call, I have put you into a template class. Let me show where you can find that. So if you look at my screen, once you go to your Blackboard, look under courses, and it's called template class. So here's the template class here. So what I did is I copied over Dr. Miles' class from fall 2022. And as you can see, it's very well structured with start here, welcome and course information. These are all things you can copy over or use for your own class. And you can see how she's divided every week. So we have week 1 orientation, week 2 instructional strategies, week 3 adaptations. So this is a really good template that you can use for your own course. So again, everyone on this call, everyone who has registered, you already have access to this. Any questions about this? Yeah, Fatma?
So thank you for this, really helpful. The only question I would ask is, I see a WebEx meetings Mondays from 5:30 to 8:20. So I will assume this is an asynchronous class, and this is this recurrent meetings or this is off hours?
We met. This is a high flex class.
This is a high flex
Yes,
class.
this is
Okay,
high
so
flex.
This is not, okay.
Right, this is high flex. It started out face to face, and then I moved to a hybrid, and then I moved it completely to high flex.
Okay, so this course is not offered online.
It's high flex.
It's high flex, okay.
Yeah. Yes, and
Because
last year was the 22, fall
So
22 was the first time
Yeah.
we had that, and we had about 19 students in that class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because in online or hybrid class, we don't meet virtually. It's
Right.
synchronously. It's asynchronous. So the
Right.
student, when they register, they are assumed they will do their coursework upon their own on their own time.
Right, exactly. Now, my child study assessment and evaluation is 100% online.
Okay. Okay.
So they are, we may meet, if we have meetings and stuff like that, but that's 100% online, yes.
But thank you.
Excellent.
Mhm.
So I do want to just quickly go over if you want to copy this over to any of your other classes. So I'll give you an example. Here's my Ultra Sandbox here. And let's just pretend it's one of your classes that you're organizing for. So if you go to your class and go to the right corner with these 3 dots, click on that. It'll say copy items. So if you click on copy items, I've made you all instructors in that adaptive teaching and learning, or actually the template class. But when you go to the template class, you're able to just click on that and then copy over the items. So that's a way that you can use that template for any of your other classes. Any questions about this?
So I have a question for Dr. Miles.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have talked a lot about course design, and you had talked about before using modules.
Right.
So I actually switched to modules. So can you talk about the rationale of not using modules, or why did you use modules? Because
Okay.
that was a good idea, and now why is this, do you perceive this to be
That's a
cleaner?
good question.
Because I started out when I learned how to build classes with modules. So I knew for my students like details. They want the information. So what I did modules. And I had a folder that had all of the agendas, in which I still give them agendas. So we still have agendas, but it's just not included in the C.A.L. I give that to them the day of the class. But I had modules, and then inside the modules, I had week 1 through 5, and then I had other folders. And again, for the students, they said, that's too much. And again, when I developed the master class with Alex, she did tell me that weeks were good. And when we did the Quality Matters, they did weeks as well. I just think it is an easier flow for the students to follow. Because again, with the modules, it had module 1, 2, 3, 4, and they had to open that and then open this and open that. So with the week, you just open it, and everything is somewhat right there.
I just wanna, this is a really good question, and I just wanna also think about it in a different way. So when you say the word module, do you mean the module in Blackboard, the technology itself versus folders? So using module versus folders, or you mean module versus week 1, week 2, module 1, module 2 versus the week, the naming convention? So
She knows what I mean.
So,
Yeah, I think she's talking about with the module compared to the using
not
it
the
by week.
technology
Yeah,
itself,
yeah.
not the technology.
Right, not the
Blackboard.
technology.
Because
Right.
in Blackboard, we recommend the module, using module.
Using
in
module for the week.
versus folders. The folders doesn't have sequential. So when the student open the folders, it doesn't look the same when they open the modules.
Right, right.
So the
See.
modules have sequential when they click on it to go to the next.
See, and here's the life reality,
Okay.
you guys. Once I set it up, I don't remember, honestly, if it's a freaking module or a folder.
You can see from here.
So when you talk, it's blah, blah, blah. So you guys look at this every day. I set up my class, and then I go try to teach my class, and I have to go remind myself, okay, she said module, folder, these look like folders to me.
Exactly. So the way.
So-
Can I just?
Right.
And that, whereas the other thing I think is an item
Yep, exactly.
and a
You got it.
folder, okay, and
Right.
so, okay, so the problem is when you're in a class and you're taking this, you can remember.
Right,
A year later, when I go back to modify my class, I don't remember module
Right.
folder. I have to
Right.
like, okay,
yeah,
why is this not looking right?
right.
So just understand that when you work with something 24/7 versus somebody who's using it because they have to,
Mhm.
we don't have the level of detail with language that you have. And so, like, I kind of know now that that thing's an item
Mhm.
versus I can see that it's a folder, but I
Mhm.
remember when the first time I took this and I went home and was trying to do stuff and I'm like, now when was I supposed to use a module and a folder and an item? And see,
Yes.
now I can't tell what it is.
This is a module. So the
Okay.
module contain a lot of different variety. It could be folder, it could be items.
Right.
And it's, when you go to the student view, can you, David, can you go to the
Yeah.
student view?
Yeah.
The student view, the module look a bit different. It looks more cleaner and sequential. So the student will be able to see things, so go to the folder in the module.
Yeah, so here's some folders within that first module, but I'll go to week 1. So this is all in a module,
Mhm.
and then you can see these instructional materials that's in a folder within that module.
Mhm.
Think of it like an accordion.
And if you go to one, David, if
Yeah.
you go to one, there is a sequential order from the side. So see, do you see
Yep.
this on the left and the right?
Mhm.
You can navigate, but the folders, they have to go out. If you didn't create the modules.
And maybe I should have shown an example of my other class where it was what I would do. I would make the module in the module. I would have like weeks 1 through
Yeah.
5, and then module 2 would be weeks 6 through 10 or something like that.
Because I think I've taken so many different classes, and every time I take a class, there's a different philosophy. And so I actually have in my weeks, I kind of have everything on one page that they can just click on. They don't have
Okay.
to actually even open up separate things.
Okay.
But so it's like a question of what actually works best.
So the having everything on one page, like for Quality Matter, they won't recommend it because they're gonna get lost. And it's whenever you have a lot to scroll down,
Yes.
you will lose the student attention.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and it's better for them to focus on one subject or one thing you wanna.
Like week
them to-
1.
No, just one
Yeah.
thing. So for example, if I'm looking at hypothesis or I'm looking at a video,
Right.
whatever related to this video, I'm just focusing on.
Now,
Exactly.
also understand, I'm not teaching an online class, which is also very different,
Right.
because when you're teaching an online class, that's a different animal.
And this is a high flex class. This class is high flex.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I want to give you really a round of applause here because designing on HighFlex, we don't have any certification or encourage faculty to design their HighFlex classes like they're online. And this is really a plus. This is what HighFlex should be, or any face-to-face, so the student can get out of the class, know what exactly needs to be done,
Right.
and what got discussed in the classroom.
Exactly. And again, like I said, it's just like I have this, I do agendas every class. And what I will do, we have videos that they have to watch, but I will pull up one so that we can discuss, and I will just put it in. So even when they go home, they can pull it up.
Exactly.
Any discussion that they have, it's there. And if they're absent, I just leave it in my book. When they come, they can pick it up. But, I just find that it's easy and when you're doing the weeks. And again, with the videos, I get videos that are under like 5 minutes. And my materials are no older than 5 years, unless it's a seminal article or seminal case law or something like that. And so that's what I try to do, and just make sure it's friendly. I try not to give them 20-page articles. I give them something that's brief so I know they will read it, because sometimes they they'll say, well, I'm not reading all that. We're supposed to read that. So I, I just make sure it's something that they can take with them, and they will remember it and they'll use it. So yeah.
And I want to just add something that, we always, the student, we need to put them in the perspective that they take more than one class.
Right,
So by doing this, centralize all the materials in one place, in Blackboard, so they don't have to get 17 emails from each faculty.
Right.
If they're taking 4 classes and we're not utilizing Blackboard, they're gonna be dropped. They won't be able to know what needs to be done, but centralize everything been said in classrooms or in the course in one place.
Exactly.
Will really help them through the learning process, help them finish.
Well, and I guess my next question is, so the title of this presentation was about building online classes. We keep having these discussions about having master pages. Are they going to be different for face-to-face versus online versus HighFlex? And why? So we can take that question going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that I see it, I see any class should be built as if it's going to be taught online.
Yeah.
And it would be it would help our students. And so for example, if you do Mentimeter, if we do reflection in classrooms, and they do the reflection on Mentimeter and talk about it within the classrooms, but we inserted that link in the course, so they would be able to reference what's been said, for example.
Right.
And I think this is a lot of university have a template courses, even for face-to-face.
Exactly. And my face-to-face class is set up this exact same way. So my advanced practicum class, we meet on Wednesday, it looks just like this. So yeah, so that's, I just want it to be easy for them to navigate and to use the information. And also, I want them to be able to discuss issues that they may have, things that may come up that they can, they can bring up, any strategies that they can share, or anything that they can add to the course. Now, another thing that I do with resources, I do have resources, student resources, but I also encourage them to bring in resources, and then I will put them on Blackboard to share with the other students, and I give them points for that. And that makes it, so that makes it, but they have to read the article. If they get an article, they have to read it, but something brief, and we take it from there. So that's, that's how, and with the image, that was another thing. That one, playing with that, I think it was 635 by 1800 or something, but it took a minute to get that the image on there, but I just kept playing with that, and I just look at things that are related to the class, and this is a special education class, and so I just try to have different, every year I change that image, so I don't use the same image every year. But I just try to add to my resources and look at my checklist and see if there's anything else that I can include that they will use, not just put it in there to put it in there, but that they would actually be able to use. And then again, like I said, I encourage them to bring in resources, and we have students who I've taught before, they were in graduate school, and my other students may be working there at the same school, and they send things by my current students. My former students may send in things by current students, and I appreciate that too, because laws change. Different communities have different ways of different services, different resources, so I welcome that as well. Okay.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Miles. So I do want to go over the documents that Dr. Miles has shared with us. So I put the link in the chat box for everyone here. But what I'll do is I'll share it on my screen, and Dr. Miles, if you don't mind, kind of walking us through
Okay,
what these documents are.
okay, definitely. Okay, so the one thing that I put in my
The course map, yeah.
the course map, I use a course map, and it's just like a course at a glance. It has I did put modules here, but it will tell you what the objective is. It will tell you the objective, the assignment, the due date, how many points, and I put the name of the class in the middle. So therefore, before they even, it's on the second page of the syllabus, as well as I put it in start here so that they can see it, because that's what they want to know. They always want to know, oh, how many points and what are the assignments? So I make sure that I do that up front. Yes.
I just want to comment on something. So we have a course map within the, for every class.
Yes.
I just was really astonished by looking at this, because this is more visual appeal, visual. Maybe this looks like a student center to me,
Yeah.
rather than the one that we have it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to do all that
It's
reading,
culture
yeah.
course template,
Yeah.
but you don't have to, if you can find, it's fine. It's
Mhm.
another one is a really like a
Right.
typical
Yeah.
tedious details, but this one really, I haven't seen one like that. This is
Mhm.
really new, and I appreciate that you put an effort in that.
It's very clear.
It's very clear, and I
Right.
think that could be a thing link
Yep.
as
Mhm.
well. Dr. Cruz, you saw the course map that we have on the template, and it's a discussion, really, we
Yeah,
learn
this
from
is
each other, I
great.
appreciate
Well,
that.
no, I've seen this course map, again, because Dr. Miles and I spend a lot of time talking about things. And like for my classes, this wouldn't work because I give way more assignments than that.
Okay.
Right, right,
So,
right.
you know, but I like it for some classes.
Yeah,
I mean, but again, we have to really think about the students.
Yeah.
right,
And
right,
I know
right.
a lot of times they're like, what student? I'm like, okay, how can we simplify?
Right.
Yeah, because the one that we have in our template is very, we got it from resources, so it's really a lot of text.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things that now really we have to have, even the syllabus center, student center, we're not there yet, but this could be a start, how we
Right.
can make this
I mean, I
work.
think it's
A course
something to
like
think about
yours.
over the summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially as we are
Absolutely.
refining some things
Yeah.
and
Mhm,
revising
mhm.
some things.
Mhm.
So we can offer a different way of doing course map.
Exactly.
And we can maybe find a solution if you have more assignments, how that can be presented here visually for our students, and what
Yeah.
are technology that we can use rather also than
I mean,
just
if I'm
Word
teaching a
documents.
100 level class, I usually give more assignments than a upper level class
Yeah.
because,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
students.
but
need to-
I
Right.
just visually was.
And see, a lot of my students are doing, a lot of these group, we have more, group assignments and things like that. But I know that for my students, they want to see a visual.
Yep.
Now, in my other class that I had a lot more assignments, I used a different kind, a different kind of visual for that. But I found that this to be very helpful because they go right to it. One of my students said that she keeps hers on her refrigerator, and when she's finished, she checks off. She checks the box or whatever, and it makes it easier. Yes, and even with my syllabus, one syllabus was 27 pages, and I said, you know what?
Nobody can.
I mean, it's like you want them to have what they need, but
Yeah,
but
I cut it down. It's way down now. So I mean, I'm just every time I do a course evaluation too, and when they tell me keep, change whatever, I make those changes, and so I make sure that the syllabus is just gives them the information and not too much stuff, because some things I can just hand them, like the agenda. I don't have to have all of that, but yeah, but I found this to be very helpful.
And I think this would be a great professional development topic,
Yeah.
designing an effective course now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Excellent. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Dr. Miles.
Mhm.
And then the next one is this adaptive teaching attendance
Yes.
sheet.
I just do, this is just something, my classes, in that adaptive teaching and learning and my child study class are usually large classes. And so I just keep that, I just do their name. I used to do their name, their N number and date, but I just cut the N numbers out and just put the name and the date. And I just keep that in my folder. But I definitely take attendance by hand and not on Blackboard. Yes.
And thank you for this, but
Mhm.
why not using Black?
Because I trust the hard copy. Just for me, I like to use a hard copy. For me,
I don't use Blackboard for attendance either.
yeah.
Because probably when we started with Ultra, probably like, what? And then also, it's not just attendance, because it's participation.
Right.
So on my sheet, I have, were they active? I should have, did I call on them and they didn't answer because they weren't in the room anymore,
Right.
especially for high flex.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes take notes on it. So I do a lot, it's more than attendance for me.
Yeah.
So mine actually has 5 columns.
And see, another thing that I do for my high flex, and this was a high flex class, if they're in the class, I make them sign their name. They write their signature under name.
So that means that you share, so you mean hard copy or?
A hard
share?
copy.
Okay.
So I leave a hard copy in the room, so they know it's on the table when they come in the room. So if they're there, they sign their name. If they're online, I put a V beside their name for virtual, yes.
And this is, but when in online class, when it's fully online, we don't.
Right, that's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
because we were
Right, that's not for
sure.
online, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not for online.
This is
yeah.
high flex or,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a way for attendance that you add column and you have it as a participation, but we maybe need to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I recall that when that first was there, I probably didn't trust it, or because mine is a participation grade, not just attendance. So
The good thing about Blackboard attendance, and I think Peter Plow did at that corner on it, it's really give you a percentage and it give you the whole, like
Yeah,
the
it
student from
does.
the beginning of the class to the end. So you will be able to really see the whole.
Overall.
Right,
Exactly,
right.
overall,
Right.
overall. So it reduce the amount of work that, because if
I
you
see,
teach
yeah.
2 times a week,
Right,
you will have how many by the end of the
exactly,
semester?
that's
So,
true, that's true.
Just, but this is something I appreciate.
And I need to
that
work
both of
on
you-
that, just with using that,
okay,
yeah.
so just a comment on that, that's fine for attendance, if that's all you care about. Attendance is, I stopped giving grades for attendance.
Yeah, I don't
Because the
get
student can be
grades.
sitting there
Doing
not doing
or
it, yeah.
their lights on, so.
Right,
And I, the other night I called on a student 3 times, one time he answered, the other times he didn't answer, didn't put anything in the chat. Okay, so they gone.
right,
But
right,
there is a way of adding participation, and I need to check on that.
okay.
There is percentage that you added in the beginning or the ending of the class.
Mhm.
And I think it's a great way to do webinar on attendance, a
Yes.
creative way of using
Okay.
attendance tool on
Yeah.
Blackboard, because
Okay,
it's called attendance, but we can use it in a different way.
right, exactly, okay.
No, this is
Yeah,
great.
And the other thing
Absolutely.
is Blackboard Ultra, they change things and add things all the time, and sometimes you notice and sometimes you don't, because I noticed they finally now added an extra credit thing,
Mm,
because before you couldn't do extra credit,
Yeah,
As an assignment.
it's an evolving system.
but now it does, so
Yes.
we need probably updated training as much as we don't want it, but we need it.
Mhm,
You're
mhm.
recorded.
Thank you. Yeah, you're recorded. I have that.
We didn't say it,
Yeah.
Dr. Cruz said it.
We're happy with that.
But it could be
Okay.
a series of
But I noticed the
professional
extra credit
development rather
is
than,
now there.
Ah,
So we have another one. This is the
so
grade
this
sheet.
is for the discussion board. So in one of my classes, I give 10 discussion board questions, and some I give 12. And so like this one is 5 points. So what I do, I give the blank to the student, and and I have their names on one for me. So they have a total of 60 points, and you can put how many points you want. And what I do is if they have to answer the question and then respond to one person. Now, if they only answer the question, they get 2.5 points. And if they, and so it depends, some of them will respond to like 2 or 3 people. And there's some that will only respond, they will only answer the question but not respond. So that's a sheet that I give them so that they can track their own progress. Because they would say, well, what did I get on this? What did I get on that? You have your sheet and you can just follow along. And that's for the discussion board question. And then I have I have 2 more. I think I have one for videos.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, one for videos. So I assign the videos. They have 11 videos. And they have to review the video, and we discuss the video in class. And then the last one is case studies. I give case studies as well. So I give 10 case studies, and we talk about those as well. And they're very short case studies, and they have to do some problem solving or come up with some strategies after reading those case studies, and they like it because they're able to organize themselves, their notebooks, and they don't have to always ask me what their, how many points.
But how are you getting this to them?
I put it on Blackboard.
So it's in their, how do they access?
No, I have it in the shell.
With everybody's name on it?
No. I only put a blank one in the shell. I keep the one with the name on it. Yeah, this is the blank one is for them to keep track of their progress. And with the videos, with the case studies and the discussion board questions, yes.
So I would, this is really great, but one of the things that I learned in building courses that they can track their progress through the gradebook.
Right.
So for example, and also they will be able to know through Blackboard what they respond and what
That's
they
true.
didn't respond.
That's true.
And also we have the track on progress tracking
Progress track.
now
Right.
that help the student to track what they have been doing.
You
Exactly.
just
So
have to
how
turn that on
that
at the
can,
beginning.
so do you leverage both? So in case you have student don't check on their grade book and this as well?
Right. Well, they can just use this to write down for a hard copy
For them.
for them. Because, they'll email me and say, well, how many points did I get? Okay, that's why I give them the sheet so that they can keep tabs themselves.
But would you, and also you have also the Blackboard, the grade book tracking their progress with points?
But the grade book, but this is just for a hard copy for them. Yeah, so that they can keep in their files for themselves.
So how do you add the total? So you're accessing each one of them total added here?
Yeah.
Or they added themselves?
Well, I add them. I have my sheet.
Okay.
Okay, this is just for them.
Okay, but they said here total points. Are they copying from your sheet or they're copying from the grade book?
They're copying from the grade book, yes. So they get a blank sheet. It doesn't, they just get a blank sheet and it just says case study grade sheet. And that's what, as they complete, as they get one, they just jot it down.
So here's, okay, so I hope this is helpful, or maybe not. So one of the challenges I have with discussion board, which I do not use that often, is it only allows you to put in one grade. And it only allows you to put in one due date. So the idea of the discussion board is you have a discussion and you have to post your discussion by a certain date.
Right.
And then they have another date by which they're supposed to respond.
Exactly.
And there's no way to separate, you only get one due date in the discussion board.
Exactly.
So you need.
And you can't separate the grade by, you got the grade for posting, but you didn't respond to anyone, so you didn't get a grade for that. So.
This is a good point.
So this is what I do for that.
Because there's a way around it.
Yeah.
Let's check this specific point. I think you really.
Because if you could just put it in Blackboard, then they don't, I mean, this is nice for them, I guess, but.
But I put in the syllabus, under discussion board question, you are to post your initial response on Wednesday by so-and-so time.
Okay.
And then, but I use the due date, when they should
Okay, but now
respond to
I'm
somebody
a core
else.
student, and I'm just in Blackboard, oh, there's a due date.
Right.
That's all I'm seeing.
They
I'm
should
not
have
looking at
just
your darn syllabus.
responded.
Sorry, Dr. Miles.
I only have the date that they should have responded
Right.
to.
So what if they
the
miss the initial post due date?
It's all right, but just letting them know that Wednesday is the date, I can't give them both dates. Like you said, it's only one date. So I do
So then
check.
you have the student who comes in after the date they were supposed to initially post, and then they post.
And sometimes that does happen, but I do look at that, to see who's posting. But some students post in advance. They go weeks ahead.
Sure.
And post.
But that's different, because if you posted on the due date, which is the date you're supposed to respond.
Right.
Nobody has a chance to respond.
Right, exactly. So I just put in one date, and that's the date that they should have made their initial post and respond to one peer by a certain time. So that's how I do it.
I was in online classes, and when I build the classes, I actually put the due date in the first response.
Oh, okay.
And I hide the response. They cannot see anybody's response until they respond.
Oh, got you.
So you make sure.
Oh, that's a good one.
Not
Okay.
really reading everybody.
Right.
And then responding.
Right.
So, and then in Blackboard.
Yeah, so the ones who don't
grade.
they can't respond because they can't see them.
Quality Matter does that too. Quality Matter does that too.
Yeah. Exactly. And then when they respond, if I want to grade, in Blackboard, I go to the name and you will see the dates of their second response.
Okay.
And when you hide all discussion board and you relate it to the module, you won't be able to jump to the next week.
Okay.
You only focus in 1 week.
Okay.
And this is the guideline that when we start the course, we tell them, okay, any discussion board, your first response should be on Wednesday, and your latest respond for your peer to be Sunday. So it would be really carved.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
This is how I designed.
I think that when I took online classes, we weren't using Blackboard, and I just find that to be.
But in Canvas, the same.
It was so ingrained. If you're using it all the time, but when you're not using it all the time.
Yes.
It's just so many different instructions that you're trying to give the students.
Exactly.
But this is across platform. So even when I was Canvas, and even Quality Matter was on Canvas. Yeah, and but it's something worth really communicating with Blackboard. Any LMS probably need to investigate how you can really put due date for your second reply. I think it's a great lens. I have never seen it this way. Mm-hmm.
Is that different from hiding the first post?
Yep, it's very different.
Okay.
Yeah, in one discussion board, you can have two due dates, so it will alert the student that, hey, go do your second one. But it's usually now put one due date, but it's worth it.
So I always wonder how people who use discussion board a lot actually manage that. But I think if you're in an online class, you can probably discussion may be a regular thing.
So just for time, I do want to thank you, Dr. Miles. This has been wonderful. So
Thank
I like
you.
to ask our hosts, what are 3 takeaways you hope the audience gets from the session?
You know, I would like for the audience to, you know, be able to use some of these strategies for their class, because it's like many of you said, when a shell is easy for students to navigate and they can find things, it's not very confusing to them, they will engage more with the course. They definitely will engage more, because I've had students to tell me, you know, I was in week 6 and we're only in week 2. And I noticed that we have to do something. And I'm like, girl, who told you to jump ahead? But they do let you know in advance if it's easy, if it's friendly. And that's very important. And me as a student, because I'm still taking these courses too, I want to be able to navigate it so that, and I like to know what is expected of me. So a course map is the first thing I want to see. I want to see what assignments do I have to do and when are they due. No, so those are my takeaways.
Excellent. And I don't see any questions from the chat box, but do we have any questions from here?
No, I appreciate the discussion in the space. Really, I think we need to continue doing this, because it really bring good questions, bring other offering that we need to discuss and appreciate.
Especially the module piece.
Yes, the module, absolutely.
Well, it's funny because I changed mine to module.
Oh,
When we
okay.
had the discussion, and then
Yeah.
I was, you know, looking at somebody's page and I'm like, they just had those weeks.
Yeah.
That was very much easier than the module.
Yeah.
But I gotta have a discussion.
Okay, yeah, well, definitely so. Yeah. And I, you know, like I said, I really like doing this. And, you know, being a former public school teacher, we could not go out and buy commercial anything. We had to make everything. And so I enjoy developing my own. And so that's one way of doing it. So definitely so.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Dr. Miles, this has been great. We'd love to do this again in the
Okay.
future. Even just talking with faculty like this brings up so many ideas.
Well, I just need to figure out how we can get faculty and particularly adjuncts to be able to come to, I think one, it'll help if we start building the shells. Because then that's something that.
Like the template.
Yep.
And it was funny because my students told me my weeks are different than other people's weeks, because I don't count spring break as a week.
Okay.
Oh, I don't count spring break as a week.
Because they
either.
said, well, in my other classes, we're in week 13 and you're in week 12.
Yeah, I any holidays are blank. I don't count them as weeks. Those are just placeholders.
So I think
on
that
the
was the
week.
difference. Some people
Yeah.
count spring
And I
break.
think this is part of, so for online and hybrid courses, we are trying to do now that it's just trying to make things look a little bit similar. You can't have everything look
Well,
the same.
Right.
Again,
Every
Gen Ed,
course
we
has
always
their
start things in
Right.
Gen Ed. So I think we can start in Gen Ed,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we're gonna do. But every time I come to one of these, I learn new things. I'm still not convinced about the attendance.
But you know, even that's why I
don't
developed
trust
that checklist, because
Yeah,
you can
Well, 'cause
make it.
Yeah, because
you
it's
can-
not just attendance.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great topic for the future. I love that, talking about attendance,
Yeah.
models versus
Yeah.
weeks.
Well, there was an attendance, I went to a meeting the other day and there was a whole attendance question,
Mm-hmm.
because it was about the student athletes in this class. And, what was the policy? And everybody kind of rolled their eyes. And So one group had developed a policy, I gotta go back and look at it, see if it's used. Because it's always a question of what's excused, and I'm like, well, excused doesn't mean they're excused from the work.
Right,
They're never excused from the work, they're excused from the class, they're expected to make it up,
right.
but, you know, attendance.
Mhm.
But Dr. Miles, thank you so much. I see
Thank
Ty.
Thank you.
This was great. Thank you, Dr. Miles.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ty, for coming.
Yes,
to the
thank you.
session.
I'm gonna make you change all my classes now.
Yes.
Now,
That's
okay,
fine.
I only have one class, I gotta take the modules away.
But thank you
Maybe
everyone for
just,
coming.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
just
you.
because there's a